Hello. So today I want to talk about a very common phrase or practice that many parents use at the table and with trying new foods. And this is the no thank you bite. So yesterday I was in my daughter's class and the teacher was talking about trying different foods for snack. And she talked about a no thank you bite. You can take a no thank you bite and spit it out if you don't like it. Say no thank you. One of the moms after walked up to me and said, "What do you think about that? Like, how do you feel about the no thank you bite?" And so I thought it would be good to talk a little bit about because she said, I don't want to overthink everything, but I don't know how I feel about it. So what do I think about the no thank you bite? So if you're not familiar with it, it is simply what we call a bite of food that like how it's typically used in the traditional sense is that you need to try a bite of everything, but you don't have to eat it. You can spit it out if you don't like it, but you do need to try it. And if you don't like it, you could just say no thank you, but you tried it. Okay, so you spit it out. And it helps your kids feel safe because they know they don't actually have to eat it and they can spit it out, but they do have to try it. So that's kind of how it's traditionally used to get kids to try a new food, because how do they know they don't like it if they've never tried it? And then they can say, no, thank you, I don't like it, and spit it out if they want. So in that sense of requiring a bite, I'm not a fan because we know that forcing children to eat can create a lot more battles at the table, make food unpleasant. It can make them more reactive to the situation instead of inherently even checking in to see, do I like this food? Might I want to have it again? Instead, they're just like, bah, right? I don't want to eat it because you told me. Like to this day, my dad still says, I never want to eat peas because I was always forced to eat them. Like that's it. It's just like done. I'm not going to eat them because I was forced to eat them as a child. And that's what we want to be really careful of is, are they forced to take these bites? And then when they have a little bit more freedom, they're actually like, I don't want to try anything new. I'm so done with trying new things. I don't want to eat that. You always made me. I don't want to do it. Right? That's why we're feeding for the future. This is the long-term game, not just about, getting them to eat that bite right now. Sometimes might they take a bite and then they do realize I like it? Sure, that might happen. But there's also the potential for it to not. And the other reason about getting kids to take a bite that I think is really potentially harmful is so much bigger than just about food, but it's really about what are we teaching them about their body and who gets to decide what they do with their body, right? And again, this is the much bigger picture of somebody touching them in a way that they don't feel comfortable with, whether that's now or whether that's in the future, right? And it might not be touching them, but using their body in a way that they're not comfortable with. Okay, so we're talking about like the big picture of what are we really teaching our children about their body and autonomy and who makes choices about their body. So that's that requiring piece of it, that you have to try a bite. However, some people use the no thank you bite not as a requirement, but as a, do you want to take it, right? Like you can take a no thank you bite because you can always spit it out. And so then they're using it in the sense of it's not a requirement. It's just what we call it if you're not sure if you would like it, and you can always spit it out. So it feels safer. So along those lines, I do think that's much better. Right now we're saying like, okay, do you want to try it? And we can ask, do you want to try a no thank you bite? The thing about that though, and this is my feeling about it, if this works for you, it's not an issue. You do you, right? You keep doing what you're doing. The thing about calling it a no thank you bite though, to me inherently sounds negative. Like you're not really going to like it, right? You're going to need to say, no, thank you. I don't want it. So I would prefer to just leave the label off completely and just say, would you like to try a bite? You can always spit it out if you don't want it, and just leave it at that instead of calling it something. If you call it a no thank you bite, it has a positive spin in your family because your kids know if I don't like something, I can spit it out. I've never tried this, so maybe I'll take that no thank you bite and I know I can just say no thank you if I don't like it and it feels good. If it all feels good to you, then go for it. Just to me, and that's why I say it doesn't feel good to me because it inherently feels like we're telling them they're not really going to like it. It feels just inherently a bit negative. So I prefer to just ask, do you want to try it? Another thing when I was talking about the teacher at our school, that she says that I love is that your taste buds can be tricky. So we could throw that in, right? Do you want to try it? You never know. Like your taste buds can be tricky. No, thank you. They could say no, thank you before they have to take the bite, right? They just say no, thank you. Say, okay, no big deal. Maybe another time, and just let it be that. We're taking all the pressure away. And that's what we really want to do, is create these zero pressure situations where we simply just ask and we're not attached to what the outcome is, that they will or won't try it. Okay, so I would suggest not using the no thank you bite unless you already do and you use it in a way that is not forceful or pressure filled and it feels like it's a good fit for your family. Otherwise, I would simply just ask and maybe say something like, your taste buds can be tricky. Another great thing you can do is tell a story, right? Like it's so much more relatable for kids when they know that we get it, So sometimes I'll share with my kids, I used to not like tomatoes. I didn't want to eat them. I didn't like the seeds in them. They were weird. And now I love them, right? Like one day I decided to try them again. Because I have stories of my mom tells me when I was really young, I would eat so many tomatoes that I would break out in rashes from like the acid. And then I went through a phase where I did not want to touch them. I just said I didn't like them at all. And maybe that was my body reacting and saying like, you're eating too many tomatoes, you don't want them. I'm not sure what it was, but I just remember not wanting to eat them and saying I didn't like them. And then a little while later, maybe when I was 10 or 11 or something, trying them again and being like, oh, I like these, right? So when I tell that to my kids, that's more encouraging for them, right? It's a relatable story instead of me saying, you need to try a bite, you might like it. You see how different that feels? And I also think, tangent, didn't plan on talking about this, that story is really important because sometimes as parents, we think you do like it. I've seen you eat it. But what if they're going through a phase where something about it doesn't feel good to them anymore? They don't want to eat it for whatever reason that might be. And we're putting pressure on them again and again. We're making it reactive again. Like, stop telling me, stop pressuring me, right? They become more reactive to us than to the situation. I decided on my own at 10, 11 years old, I want to try tomatoes again. I wasn't forced to eat them. There are a lot of things my parents did right. So anyhow, I want to share that with you around the no thank you bite, around the pressure about letting kids come into these scenarios as themselves instead of us having an agenda and needing to feel like we need to get them to try it or to eat it. Just giving them space and the opportunity to do that in a pressure-free zone. And we want to keep exposing, not just, say, oh, they don't like it, I'm not going to serve it anymore. We want to just keep exposing, being unattached to them actually eating it or not. Our job is to provide those opportunities, not to get them to eat the food. All right, that's it for today. If you have thoughts on the no thank you bite, let me know. I would love to hear them. Otherwise, I will be back to talk with you soon. Okay, bye-bye.